this video, I'm going to be showing you how to build an awesome 1440p gaming PC build capable of smashing through the latest titles at great settings. I'm James, you're tuning into Ebuyer, and this is our build series. Let's do this. As with any good PC build, we're going to start off by walking through all of the component choices, and I'll link each of these in the description below. Let's look at the CPU and of course the motherboard first of all, to decide what sort of platform we're going to be building our system with. This up top is the MSI Pro Z690A DDR4, a superb, affordable Z690 motherboard that supports DDR4 memory, crucially cheaper than the newer DDR5 counterparts, PCIe Generation 5, and perhaps most crucially, our Intel 12th Gen CPU. This motherboard allows for overclocking, and our i5-12600K CPU choice does much the same. With great clock speeds out of the box and a number of Intel's latest performance and efficiency cores, this thing is ready for whatever you throw at it. Gaming, video editing, rendering, streaming, you name it, the 12600K has got it covered. Now, with this board and this CPU, we of course need to pick ourselves up some great memory. Memory is used by the processor to store all of the really crucial data, and this 16GB kit of Kingston Fury Beast is going to do an awesome job. It is DDR4, as I said earlier, making it a bit cheaper, and the stealthy black aesthetic very much so fits with the motherboard we'll be going for today, keeping a very neutral system, where the show is perhaps stolen by the case, but more on that later. Now, of course, we also need some great storage to pair up with our memory, long-term storage this time, rather than just quick memory for our latest data. This is a WD Black SN770. It's one of their very latest PCIe Generation 4 drives, but importantly it's cheaper than some of the more expensive Gen 4 options out there, still giving us really great speeds, about 5GB a second, at least on the read side of things, while also not breaking the bank, something that's admittedly very important today. Now, all of these components are all well and good, and they provide some fantastic performance numbers, as we'll see a little bit later. But to make sure we're really set and ready to go, we also need a great CPU cooler to keep things nice and chilly, and this Corsair iQ H100i Elite Capellix is not only one of our best-selling coolers here at Ebuyer, but it also performs incredibly well and serves a dual purpose. That's right, this cooler does two things, not one. Now, the main thing it does, obviously, is cool our Intel CPU, this good little 12600K. But with a large radiator and two 120mm fans, it also cools the rest of the system in its entirety. That makes our system overall cooler, makes it look fantastic, and makes this component a slightly better value option than what you might originally think, exhausting air out of the case, as well as keeping the CPU nice and chilly. We'll come on to the graphics card choice for this build in a moment, because you're probably quite excited to find out what we'll be using. But first, let's cover off one of the more boring, but very important parts to get right, the power supply. This is the Corsair, if I can get my words out, RM850. This is an 850 watt unit, 80 plus gold, fully modular, meaning it's very efficient and that you can plug in just the cables you need, helping to keep cable management and cable clutter overall to a minimum. We'll be building the system inside of Corsair's iQ 4000X. It's available in white or black, giving you guys plenty of choices when it comes to aesthetics. Corsair also sell an airflow version with a more mesh perforated front panel, and a system that's got a fully neutral front panel and no RGB fans. I'm personally quite a blingy, flashy type of PC builder and love a bit of RGB, as you'll find on many of the systems over on ebuyer.com, and we'll be channeling that energy in this build. Finally, the last of our components to cover off is of course the GPU. This is MSI's Supreme-X RTX 3070 Ti, with plenty of video memory, 8GB to be precise, and some great performance when it comes to gaming at 1440p and even some 4K, though we'll look at that in just a few moments. It makes total sense for the build. This cooler is really impressive. You've got three large fans, this really quite intense metal shrouding, and a really lovely metal backplate. You can tell it's metal because it makes a nice metallic noise. Really strong I/O as well, with plenty of ports to plug up your system to, making it an awesome bet. I'll rejoin you in a few moments to take a look at the performance of this system, but first, roll this snazzy music, don your Ebuyer polo shirt, let's build a PC. that, this awesome PC is assembled. You can expect to see some great performance results from this system in some of the latest titles. And you're also free to tweak about the CPU, memory, storage, and even GPU config in this build to suit your exact needs.